Alright guys, this is the second video today. I just got finished doing a hurricane video. I'm trying to make this video faster. Just go update faster because I need to get this hurricane video up as soon as possible. But this video is also important. I haven't done one of these in about 2 weeks. So we are hitting the ground as fast as I can. The Canada update, I probably won't put this in this video. However, I will link you guys to that official forecast. It should be pretty similar to the last one, but I still link it to you guys. Okay, in the United States, where we are in a pandemic right now, it is September 23rd, 2024, and we've had a pretty large peak. We are past peak now. However, we've been at over 1 million infections per day. If we assume everyone in the United States is an adult, we've been over 1 million infections per day since August, around August 1st. So roughly, since the beginning of the wave in mid-May, roughly 1/3 of Americans have had COVID-19. Which means reinfections, first-time infections, you guys get the idea if you watch these videos. 1 in 45 people are actively infectious, which means 2% of the population is actively infectious. Here's the thing about these numbers. This would be considering if people are adults. Children, at least for wastewater is based off poop and volume with water, right? Children produce less poop than adults do. So, at least from what the PhD Dr. Holger made of this graph, they mentioned on their Twitter account, which I'll put a link to it right now. I don't think I can, but I'll put a link to it in the description. But they mentioned for every adult case is roughly 3 to 4 cases in children, preschool children, for example. So this number around 1.2 million, I think, a day. I think it's down here. I already kind of forgot, but it's around 1.3, 1.2 a day. This could definitely be around 2 to 3 million per day if we add in children. If we add in children and teenagers and babies, this could definitely probably be closer to around 2 million. But we don't know exactly how many children are infected, so we have to assume everyone's an adult. So this is 1.1, 1.2 million infections a day. So we are passing through the ninth wave of the pandemic, which peaked at 1.3 million infections per day in August. We expect to stay over 1 million daily infections for another 10 days. We're anticipating extremely high lull in activity between the summer and winter waves the first week of November at around 850,000 daily infections. Transmissions higher for this time of the year, mid-September through mid-fall, i.e. August through November, than any prior year. We expect high transmission throughout the remainder of 2024. This part has pretty much stayed the same. Year-over-year comparisons for where we are right now. We are here. We are higher in 2022, 2023, which had a large summer wave of its own. We are above last year by a large margin. We're over what's typical. We're over the Delta wave back in 2021. And we are far surpassing where we were at this time in 2020. Yeah, COVID's over. Am I right? But where we're expected to be for where the lull is. It's fire trucks outside my house. But where the lull is right now, this is still higher than every other graph here. It's still higher than every year. Because the summer wave is at this time of the year is the highest for August and September. This means that our low is going to be around 850,000 a day, which means our low point is going to be higher than for every other winter wave, which means the build up into the next winter wave is not going to be as much. I would say it's not going to take as much to build up into the next winter wave as it would have last year. Even last year had a highest peak, had a around 400,000, 500, 600,000 infections a day, building up into the almost 2 million peak that we had. Right? We are at a higher point than that, so it will be much easier for us to hit 2 million this year. Besides maybe transmission being different due to recent infections, but if a new variant comes around, that won't matter. Like we said, we already went over this. This is the past 12 months. As you can see, we're we were around 1.3. Still lower than the peak of the winter wave, but that doesn't really matter. The peak of the winter wave last year into early this year, was the second highest on record in terms of daily infections. Us being at 1.3, being around top 5 wave guaranteed in terms of peak infections, but total infections may be top 2, top 3, top 2. That overall is something to keep in mind. That it's still very high for this time of year. And this low point here back in April, May, very short-lived, barely a month. Now, these supplemental data. Current COVID-19 transmission in the United States is higher today than 80% of the pandemic. That includes most of the pandemic, if you can think about it. That includes pretty much all of 2020. That includes most of 2021. That includes a decent amount of 2022, but not as much. 2022 had transmission be high for almost the entire year. A decent amount of 2023 higher than that, except for the really high wave at the end of the year. So, it's bad, man. So, 2.2% of the population is infectious. We already went over that. Daily infections around 1.1 million. Weekly infections around 7.4 million. And then long COVID cases a week are 371,000 to 1.5 million estimated. For the rest of the month, we can expect 30 million new infections over the next month. And then 1.4 million to say around 6 million long COVID cases, which is cognitive decline, changes in behavior, other medical conditions, sudden onset diabetes, stuff like that. It's a wide scope. It's a lot of conditions that are covered by it. Total in the United States so far for the entire year, there have been roughly 250 million infections, and the average American is on their 3.5 infections, we'll say. So the average American has had COVID 3 times, and it's probably about to get their 4th, or has already had their 4th and is about to get their 5th. For teachers or children, this is probably much higher, especially for babies. Especially for babies and people in younger children, it's probably much higher than this. Now, this is the CDC Heat Map. Current levels will go here, but they use a cool blue version instead of this darker red version, which clearly exemplifies the risk more. So we'll actually open this up. I think I actually have this open right now. Yeah. So we'll call off the states that are very high, moderate, low, and minimum. We'll exclude some states. So we'll exclude... there's some low states. Mississippi has limited coverage, only one site reporting, but viral activity is low. I do not believe this because every other state around it is high. I don't believe that for 1 second. Georgia is moderate. It has limited reporting. It's 4 sites reporting limited coverage. I don't believe this because other states around it are high. Virginia has low viral activity as 35 states reporting. New York has minimal viral activity as 108 sites reporting. This might not be super accurate because the state right next to it, New Jersey, where I am, is high levels, and almost all of New England's also high. Something might be up with the data in these states. Michigan is low. Michigan's been low for pretty much a decent amount of summer into now. Nevada is minimal. It's now fall. Nevada was higher, and now it's a minimal. This might be due to changes in reporting, or them not reporting this week. And Arizona's moderate. So we're going to remove the low and the minimal states from our tally. Moderate will call out. So Alaska, Arizona, Georgia are in the moderate category, as well as the District of Columbia. As far as highest states go, California, New Mexico, Texas, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Louisiana, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Alabama, Florida, West Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, and New Jersey, and Connecticut all have high transmission. I believe Rhode Island does too. Rhode Island also has high transmission. The very high transmission states are Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Ohio, Pennsylvania, limited coverage. North Carolina, South Carolina, Vermont, Maine, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts. I believe if we look on an in-depth look on the official report, some states are higher. Have notable increases. I believe Oklahoma is one of those states. I have to check on the official Twitter, which I'm not going to do in this video, but I'll post that link in the description. On a regional basis, at least looking in the United States, the majority of regions are at 2.2% of the population is actively infected, especially in the Midwest, South, and West. The West is still coming off that 4% peak, that 4.4% peak in August. The Northeast is at 1.2%. I don't believe this necessarily, but the data shows 1.2%. This heavily depends on region because I live in a high state. But almost all the other Northeast states are high to very high. Only New York is minimal, so that implies that there's a reporting issue. So I suspect that in the Northeast is also similar to the national average as well. This seems a bit too low. For the map that we just went over. And there's the dashboard. So that's everything for you guys. Wastewater Scan's also a website that you guys can use, but their data, they have good data, but they don't, they adjust it a week later, so changes here are pretty sharp. But recommendations for what you can do to not deal with COVID-19, because it has spread to a decent amount of population thus far, and continues to spread before the winter wave, right? So, things to do. I pretty much already wrote this down, but things you should do. You want KN95 mask or plus or better. So you want KN95s, You want KN95 masks or higher. You want to wear them at all times. You want to eat outside, away from people. Away from people and upwind of people, so the wind's blowing away from you. You want to make sure that you have adequate air ventilation, opening windows, etc., stuff like that. So reducing the amount of viral loads in an indoor space. Also, for people who are symptomatic with COVID-19 or other airborne diseases, it's important to face away from them. Like, don't be around someone who's symptomatic, and especially don't be around them in talking range, for example. No. Don't talk directly in their face. No. Don't do that. That's fail. I've seen too many people do that in real life. Failure. Don't do it. You have to make sure, if you're trying to not get sick, you need to reduce the amount of exposure that you have. So you cannot be talking to someone who's actively coughing. No. Especially like up close, no. So distancing in this regard is important. Although air ventilation and masking is more important overall, distance is also relevant. As the further away you are from someone, the less viral load that you're gonna be inhaling through your mask, or if you don't have a mask on, inhaling in general. So that would mean there's less virus for your immune system that your immune system has to deal with. So there's a less likely chance that you'll get sick, right? And then just in general, also, you want to schedule medical appointments later at a better date. You don't want to be in a crowded place, indoors or outdoors. Avoid crowds as much as possible. And just in general, you need to keep the mask on. You need to eat and drink where it's safe. You don't drink in a classroom, for example. Don't do that. And just make sure you have air ventilation if possible. Get the best air ventilation you can get. I hope this video helped you guys out. I wanted to make this video a week ago, but I didn't have as much time. So this was the COVID update video. Infections in the United States are high and will be high for the rest of the year. This video is just reminding you of that. And here are the solutions that you guys can use to help. I mostly spoke about them, but KN95's here, air vents here, and then other stuff is mainly reducing your exposure by proximity to other people. So when I say eat outside, you eat outside away from people to reduce your exposure, and also inside when you're talking to people, distance yourself so you're not having as much exposure either. That also helps It helps because if you're inside, less exposure overall means less that your immune system has to deal with, and less that your mass has to filter. That's something I've learned, and that's the reason why now, even though I'm in the 4th week of college, I am not sick. Whereas the people who are sick are coughing in other people's faces and getting them ill. So I know, okay, I know who to stay away from, who not to talk to, and just keep it moving from there. If you're outside, it's always good to just have a mask on, because you don't know who you're passing by, who will be infected or not. So it doesn't matter if you're going to a store quickly. Doesn't matter if you're outside just passing by people. It's just good practice if you don't want to be ill, because being ill wastes your time. It makes you unproductive. It takes years off of your life, and it wastes the time of other people. And if you get other people sick, that was your fault for doing that, if you didn't do anything about it. And especially if you know how to stop it and you don't do anything. So yeah, guys, that was the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys enjoyed it, learned something from it, I will make sure to upload both of these videos fairly quickly and get to the homework I need to get to. So I will make more videos soon. I hope you guys learn something and make life better. Alright, see you guys later.